From the outside, they looked like the definition of reality TV royalty power couple, business partners and longtime stars of love and hip-hop, Atlanta. But behind the glitz, glam, and matching outfits, there was a storm brewing that fans never saw coming. Whispers turned into rumors, and now those rumors are exploding into jaw-dropping revelations. Did Rasheeda really walk out for good this time? And is Kirk hiding more than just another side chick? For years, Rasheeda and Kirk Frost have painted a picture of reconciliation and endurance. But according to a source close to the couple, their so-called healed relationship is hanging by a thread, and it's fraying fast. Explosive arguments, secret recordings, emotional blackmail, and a bombshell betrayal that no one, not even longtime fans, saw coming. In the last month alone, Rasheeda has allegedly been seen without her wedding ring while Kirk was spotted at a late-night lounge in Miami holding hands with a mystery woman. And now there's talk of a secret apartment, a burner phone, and an old flame returning to light up old wounds. Could this be the final blow that ends it all? Or is this just another twisted chapter in their toxic love story? Grab your popcorn, because what you're about to hear will shake the very foundation of love and hip-hop's most controversial couple. Stay tuned. It all began with whispers, low murmurs in Atlanta's tight-knit entertainment circles, rumors that Rasheeda and Kirk's so-called perfect comeback was nothing more than smoke and mirrors. For months, fans believed the couple had found healing after years of infidelity scandals, secret children, and emotional breakdowns. But behind closed doors, their marriage was unraveling at a frightening pace. Rasheeda, always the poised queen of the Frost Empire, was reportedly reaching her breaking point, while Kirk's behavior had grown erratic, secretive, and downright suspicious. It started small missed calls, late nights at the studio, and cryptic text messages that vanished the moment she reached for his phone. At first, Rasheeda brushed it off. She had fought too hard to rebuild this marriage, to walk away again. But the signs became harder to ignore. Her husband's sudden outbursts, the way he flinched when she mentioned certain names, and how he'd disappear without explanation during family dinners. Then came the moment that shifted everything, a forgotten iPad in their home office that Kirk had failed to log out of. Rasheeda wasn't snooping. She simply opened the device to check her boutique's Instagram. But what she found was a Pandora's box of pain, unsent messages to a woman labeled Nikki Don't Answer, screenshots of Cash App transactions for thousands of dollars, and worst of all, a voice memo, Kirk's unmistakable voice whispering, "She can't find out about this." Not again. Rasheeda's hands trembled. Her entire world spun. Who was Nikki, and what couldn't she find out? She confronted him that night, hoping for a sliver of truth. But Kirk, calm as ever, looked her in the eye and said, "You're being paranoid again." That response, that deflection, ignited something deep within her, rage, a sadness, a clarity. This wasn't the first time, and she feared it wouldn't be the last. But what hurt the most was that he didn't even flinch, as if her pain had become normal, as if her disappointment was routine. Over the next few weeks, Rasheeda began doing what she had never done before, keeping secrets of her own. She met with an attorney under a fake name. She started tracking his movements using the GPS sensed from their shared family account. And what she found shattered every illusion she had left. Kirk was renting an upscale apartment in Buckhead under the alias Kevin Ross. Security footage from the building's lobby showed him entering with a woman half his age, slim, with waist-length hair, always in designer clothes. They looked comfortable, familiar, intimate. Rasheeda didn't cry this time. She was too numb. Instead, she invited Kirk to dinner at their favorite steakhouse, just the two of them. The air was thick with tension. Candlelight flickered between them as she calmly slid a manila folder across the table. Inside were screenshots, GPS data, and copies of the lease agreement for the Buckhead apartment. Kirk's face went pale, his hands gripping the edge of the table. "You had me followed?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't need to," she replied coldly. "You left a trail wide enough for the whole city to walk through." Silence hung in the air. Finally, Kirk spoke, but instead of denial, he offered a twisted justification. "You stopped needing me," he said. "You were building empires, and I was just there." Rasheeda blinked, stunned. "So you cheated because I was successful?" she asked, her voice cracking. Kirk didn't answer. That was the moment she stood up and walked out, leaving him alone at the table, surrounded by the mess he made. The next morning, the blogs exploded. Someone likely from the restaurant. Staff had leaked photos of the confrontation. One image in particular went viral, Rasheeda in a red dress standing with icy elegance while Kirk slouched in defeat. Fans went wild. Queen behavior, one tweet read. She deserves better, another said. But while the world cheered, her strength, Rasheeda was quietly falling apart. She checked into a hotel under her assistant's name, avoiding cameras, interviews, even her closest friends. Only one person knew where she was, her mother, who came that night with tea, tissues, and truth. Baby, she said, you've been loving him more than he's been loving himself. Those words echoed in Rasheeda's mind as she faced sleepless nights. For so long, she had been the backbone holding Kirk up, cleaning up his scandals, forgiving what many said was unforgivable. But what had she gotten in return? Lies, disrespect, emotional neglect. And now, public humiliation. Meanwhile, Kirk was spiraling. The leaked photos had ruined several business deals. Sponsorships were pulling out. Social media was tearing him apart. And to make matters worse, the mysterious woman from the Buckhead department had gone dark, ghosting him completely. Alone and cornered, Kirk did what he always did. He played the victim. He called Rasheeda's phone over 30 times in one night. Left voicemails sobbing, begging, accusing. You destroyed everything, he said. You want me to suffer? Rasheeda didn't respond, but Kirk wasn't done. He showed up at her boutique unannounced, creating a scene that left customers speechless. We built this together, he shouted. Don't act like I'm just some villain. Security escorted him out, but the damage was done. The footage leaked again, and fans were divided. Some still pitied Kirk, believing he was a broken man trying to fix his mistakes. Others saw through him. Master manipulator, one fan commented. Classic narcissist behavior, another said. At this point, Rasheeda was being pushed to make a decision. Her mother wanted her to file for divorce immediately. Her friends urged her to protect her peace. Even her teenage son had stopped talking to Kirk, calling him out during a family therapy session. You make mom cry more than you make her smile, he said flatly, refusing to even look his father in the eye. That hit Kirk hard, and for the first time in years, he broke. Not in anger, not in blame, but in tears. He called his older daughter, Jasmine, and apologized for everything, for the years of silence, denial, and rejection. He confessed to feeling like a failure, admitting, I never learned how to love without hurting. Jasmine listened but didn't comfort him. That's not my job, she said. You gotta fix yourself. Not us, with no one left in. His corner, Kirk retreated. He stopped posting on social media. Rumors swirled that he had checked into a private wellness retreat outside Atlanta. Others said he was simply hiding, ashamed, broke, and afraid. But Rasheeda? She was blooming. She relaunched her fashion line with a new campaign titled Rebirth. The promo video featured her walking through fire, emerging in a white gown, unbothered, unstoppable. Fans were moved. This is the Rasheeda we've been waiting for, one comment read. But even with her public glow-up, her private wounds were still raw. Late one night, she received a letter handwritten, no return address. It was from Kirk. In it, he poured his heart out. No excuses, just remorse. He admitted everything, the lies, the affairs, the manipulations. And he ended it with a line that shook her. I don't deserve you, but I'll always love you, even if you never come back. She read it 3 times. Then, without a word, she folded the letter, placed it in her drawer, and stared at her reflection. The woman looking back wasn't broken. She was reborn, but the story wasn't over yet. The story wasn't over yet, not by a long shot. Because just as Rasheeda was finding her footing again, the past decided to knock on her door in the most unexpected way. 2 weeks after receiving Kirk's letter, Rasheeda got a call from her boutique manager about a customer causing a scene. When she arrived, she was stunned to find not just any irate woman, but Nikki. Yes, that Nikki, the same mystery woman from the Buckhead apartment. She was standing in the middle of the store, yelling at staff, demanding to speak with Rasheeda. Directly, her eyes were red, makeup streaked, voice shaky yet loud. Tell your husband to stop calling me, she screamed. He ruined my life, and now he wants me to clean up his mess? Rasheeda froze. The boutique went silent. Staff looked from her to Nikki, unsure whether to call security or grab popcorn. But Rasheeda, ever composed, motioned for her team to leave them alone. She wanted answers. Nikki wasted no time. "I didn't know he was still with you like that," she began, pacing the boutique floor like a woman unraveling. "He told me y'all were separated, that you were just business partners keeping up appearances. He said he was miserable, that you were cold and distant and only cared about money." Rasheeda listened, her face unreadable. "So you moved into an apartment with him?" she asked. Nikki nodded slowly. "I thought we were building something, but it was all a lie. He was sending me money, gifts, even promised to help me launch my skincare brand. Then one day he just stopped answering, blocked me on everything. And when I saw those pictures of y'all at the steakhouse, I knew he played me too." The betrayal was layered. Rasheeda wasn't angry at Nikki, at least not anymore. She was angry at how deep Kirk's manipulation had run. He hadn't just cheated physically. He had rewritten reality. Repainted her as a villain in someone else's story just to get what he wanted. She handed Nikki a glass of water and said, calmly, "You weren't the first. And sadly, you probably won't be the last." Nikki's eyes widened. "There were more?" Rasheeda nodded. "Too many to count." Nikki broke down crying. Rasheeda let her. But she also realized something in that moment. Kirk hadn't just betrayed her. He was leaving behind emotional wreckage in the lives of multiple women. That evening, Rasheeda posted a cryptic message on Instagram. "When a man breaks many hearts to feel whole, he ends up empty. I choose peace." The post garnered over 600,000 likes in hours. Celebrities chimed in. Tamar Braxton commented, "Say that." Candy Burris reposted it with flame emojis. Even Cardi B left a single word, "Queen." The internet crowned Rasheeda the new face of post-breakup power. Meanwhile, Kirk was becoming a cautionary tale. Then came the second bombshell, one that no one saw coming. Just as Kirk was beginning to fade into the background, an anonymous tipster sent a voice recording to the Shade Room. It was Kirk, secretly recorded during a private dinner with an old friend. In the audio, he can be heard saying, "I could ruin Rasheeda if I wanted to. All these fans think she's so strong, but I made her. I own everything with her name on it." The internet exploded. "You made her?" Fans screamed in the comments. "She carried your cheating behind for 10 years. The backlash was swift and brutal. Rasheeda's legal team jumped into action. Within 48 hours, they released a statement. Mrs. Frost owns full rights to her brand, her boutique, and her image. Any implication otherwise is not only false but slanderous. But behind the scenes, Rasheeda was shaken. She'd always known Kirk was arrogant, maybe even controlling, but this level of spitefulness felt like war. And if it was war he wanted, she was ready. She instructed her attorneys to begin the process of asset separation, not just divorce, total disentanglement. Kirk, on the other hand, panicked. Friends close to him revealed he started calling mutual acquaintances, trying to get them to talk sense into Rasheeda. He even contacted her pastor, hoping to guilt her into reconciliation. "We have history," he kept saying. "She can't just erase me." But Rasheeda was past guilt. She was in survival mode, and then Kirk made the biggest mistake of all. In an apparent attempt to control the narrative, he sat down for an unapproved exclusive interview with a rising YouTube gossip channel. During the interview, Kirk painted himself as a misunderstood man struggling to survive in Rasheeda's shadow. "You try living with someone who treats you like an assistant," he said. "I gave up everything for her dreams. My identity got lost in her empire." The interviewer leaned in. "So are you saying she emasculated you?" Kirk nodded. "In some ways, yeah." That clip alone got over 2 million views in 48 hours. But instead of gaining sympathy, Kirk received the internet's fury. One fan tweeted, "You emasculated yourself the day you had a baby on your wife and asked her to raise it like her own." Another said, "He's mad Rasheeda got up and glowed up." The comments didn't stop there. A trending hashtag emerged. Hashtag Team Rasheeda 4. Rasheeda, ever strategic, didn't respond directly. But she did go live on Instagram days later while walking through her boutique's warehouse. She smiled, gave updates on new shipments, and paused in front of a framed photo of her and Kirk during happier times. Sometimes she said softly, "You don't realize a chapter is over until you stop rereading it." Her fans erupted with praise. Even Oprah magazine reposted the clip with the caption, "A masterclass in grace under fire." But just as the dust seemed to be settling, another twist arrived. A woman from Kirk's distant past before Love and Hip Hop, before Rasheeda surfaced on TikTok. She posted a video claiming that Kirk had a secret child with her back in the early 2000s and paid her to stay quiet. The child, now 19, had reportedly reached out to Kirk multiple times only to be ignored. The woman showed photos, legal documents, and even an old letter signed by Kirk. The receipts were undeniable. The media had a field day. Kirk Frost exposed. Again? Secret son comes forward. Even Rasheeda's fans were stunned. This wasn't just a toxic marriage, it was a never-ending nightmare. Paparazzi swarmed Rasheeda's store. Reporters camped outside her house. Everyone wanted to know one thing: how much more is she going to take? But Rasheeda, ever the strategist, had already decided. This wasn't going to break her. It was going to build her. And so she did what no one expected. She announced her own docuseries, Rasheeda Unfiltered, set to air on a major streaming platform. "If they're going to talk about my life," she said in the teaser trailer, "they're going to hear it from me." Fans went wild. Take all his power back. Sis, this is how you flip the narrative. As filming began, Kirk tried one last Hail Mary. He sent a massive bouquet of white roses to her office, along with a handwritten card. "No matter what, you'll always be my heart." Rasheeda didn't even open the note. She handed it to her assistant and said, "File it under too late." But deep down, she knew this chapter wasn't just about endings. It was about beginnings. And she was finally ready to write her own story, without him in it. The energy had shifted entirely. What began as a silent unraveling had now transformed into a full-blown reckoning, and Rasheeda was in complete control of the narrative. As cameras began rolling for her new docuseries, Rasheeda Unfiltered, it became painfully obvious to everyone just how much she had been suppressing for years. The viewers saw glimpses of her private breakdowns, the moments where she questioned her self-worth, and the confessional-style footage where she admitted with raw vulnerability, "I spent so much time fixing a man who never wanted to be fixed. I was trying to turn poison into wine." That quote alone went viral within minutes of the trailer dropping. Fan pages exploded. Merchandise popped up overnight with the phrase printed on hoodies, mugs, and phone cases. Rasheeda wasn't just surviving the chaos, she was monetizing the truth, but not everyone was clapping. Kirk, now watching his wife's image soar as his own fell apart, started making calls to producers from Love and Hip Hop, demanding a sit-down reunion episode to clear the air. His request was denied. No one wanted to give him a platform unless Rasheeda approved, and she wanted no part of it. In retaliation, Kirk released a video on his personal YouTube channel, seated alone in his home studio, looking disheveled and bitter. "Everybody wants to paint me as the villain," he said, "but no one wants to talk about what I went through." He accused Rasheeda of controlling his finances, locking him out of business decisions, and using their marriage for brand partnerships. But what he didn't realize was that the receipts Rasheeda had kept for years were about to come into play. The third episode of her docuseries featured a chilling twist: actual voicemails from Kirk threatening to burn it all down if Rasheeda ever left him. The audio, raw and unedited, sent shockwaves across the internet. "You walk out. That door and everything goes with you," one voicemail said. "You'll see how fast your fans turn on you when they know who you really are." Fans were horrified. "This man is unhinged," one user tweeted. "Protect Rasheeda at all costs," said another. Kirk tried to spin it, claiming the voicemails were taken out of context, but it was too late. The damage was irreversible. Rasheeda's boutique sales doubled overnight. Her Instagram followers crossed 5 million. Even Netflix executives reportedly reached out about adapting the docuseries into a dramatized limited series. She was turning heartbreak into empire, one raw episode at a time. Still, the emotional toll wasn't something she could hide forever. In one particularly difficult scene, she visited her child home and sat with her mother on the front porch. "Do you think I failed?" she asked, tears welling in her eyes. "I stayed so long. hoping he'd become the man I saw in him. Her mother reached out, touched her hand, and replied, "You didn't fail, baby. You believed, and sometimes love makes fools out of queens." That line resonated across generations of women watching the series. Grandmothers, mothers, daughters, everyone who had ever loved someone toxic saw themselves in Rasheeda. She had become a mirror of collective heartbreak, and in doing so had unified a community of survivors. But then came the ultimate betrayal, one that not even Rasheeda's sharp intuition could have predicted. Just as the 4th episode wrapped production, her legal team received a cease and desist letter from none other than Kirk Frost himself. In it, he claimed ownership over several trademarks related to their joint ventures, including Rasheeda's original logo and even her signature fashion line name. He was attempting to freeze her assets. Fans were livid. "He's trying to destroy her legacy out of spite," read one viral post. But Rasheeda, ever the strategist, had anticipated this move. In a secret flashback filmed months earlier, she was seen sitting with her lawyer, drafting brand new contracts and launching a rebranded version of her empire under the name R by Rasheeda. Her team released a public statement the same day the cease and desist leaked. "Mrs. Frost is 10 steps ahead. Always has been, always will be." And with that, Kirk's final weapon crumbled. Not only did Rasheeda sidestep his legal landmine, but she also filed a countersuit for emotional abuse and brand sabotage, claiming damages in the millions. The courtroom battle quickly became tabloid gold. Cameras camped outside the courthouse as the couple arrived on opposite days, refusing to be in the same room. Witnesses were called, former assistants, stylists, business managers, all testifying to years of manipulation, gaslighting, and behind-the-scenes meltdowns. One former employee claimed Kirk once demanded Rasheeda cancel a major photo shoot because she was looking too independent. Another revealed he would purposefully schedule fake business meetings just to monitor her location. These revelations didn't just shock fans, they infuriated them. "This is beyond toxic," said a viewer in the comments section of the courtroom livestream. "This is psychological warfare." And still, through it all, Rasheeda showed up every day in flawless courtroom fashion, head held high, energy unbothered. Outside the courthouse, reporters asked if she had anything to say to Kirk. She paused, turned to the cameras, and said, "The truth doesn't need screaming, it just needs time." That quote was immediately plastered on headlines nationwide. Even major outlets like Essence and the New York Times began covering the story, framing Rasheeda as a symbol of modern-day female resilience in the face of systemic emotional abuse. And yet, just when the world believed the saga had reached its final act, Rasheeda received a direct message that made her blood run cold. It was from an anonymous account with one sentence, "You don't even know the half of it." Attached was a single video clip Granny filmed from a distance. It showed Kirk meeting in a parking lot with a man known in the Atlanta club, seen for laundering money through fake businesses. Rasheeda didn't want to believe it. She stared at the video for hours, frozen in disbelief. Had Kirk not only betrayed her emotionally, but also dragged their financial empire into criminal territory? If so, everything, her businesses, her bank accounts, even her public image could be at risk. Suddenly, this wasn't just about a broken marriage, it was about survival. She immediately contacted her legal team, launching an internal audit of every joint financial account and investment tied to their names. The findings were staggering. Shell companies, misplaced funds, large transfers labeled consulting fees that had no traceable recipients. Her team advised her to go silent while they investigated further. But Rasheeda knew one thing: Kirk wasn't just toxic. He was dangerous. And now her battle wasn't just about heartbreak. It was about protecting everything she had built with her name, her sweat, her strength. And though the world watched in suspense, one thing had become clear: Rasheeda wasn't fighting for revenge anymore. She was fighting for redemption. And she was ready to burn the whole house down to find peace. And so the final curtain began to rise on what would become the most chaotic and emotionally charged chapter in the Rasheeda and Kirk Frost saga. With investigations underway and lawyers now digging through a mess Kirk never thought would surface, Rasheeda's once private heartbreak had transformed into a full-scale public reckoning. But this wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about legacy. It was about reputation. It was about survival. Rasheeda knew her next move had to be surgical. One misstep could destroy everything she had built, not just as a brand, but as a mother, a woman, and a black business mogul who had spent 2 decades silencing doubters. The shell companies? The anonymous video? The missing funds? They were all being combed over by forensic accountants hired discreetly through a New York firm known for cleaning up the ugliest celebrity financial disasters. And while the team dug deeper, Rasheeda stayed quiet publicly, but she was in full beast mode privately. Meanwhile, Kirk was unraveling. The man who once strutted into Atlanta nightclubs like he owned the city was now hiding from paparazzi behind tinted SUVs. His name whispered in corners of the industry as someone too toxic to touch. Promoters canceled appearances, club bookings dried up, brand deals vanished. And most chilling of all, some of his oldest allies stopped answering his calls. He was becoming radioactive. He tried to pivot, posting half-hearted apologies on social media, tagging Rasheeda in throwback couple photos, even commenting forever under one of her old posts. But Rasheeda never responded. Not once. That silence echoed louder than any public statement. Until one morning, TMZ broke a news story. Kirk Frost under federal scrutiny for potential financial misconduct. The internet caught fire. Is this man about to go to jail on top of everything else? One tweet read. Rasheeda dodged a federal bullet, another chimed. Sources claimed the feds were very interested in the Buckhead apartment transactions and the offshore account allegedly tied to one of Kirk's ghost companies. Rasheeda's name was reportedly not connected, but the proximity was enough to make headlines, and that's when Rasheeda decided to speak. Not through a live, not on her show, but with a single open letter published in Variety. It read, in part, I have spent over 20 years fighting to be seen as more than a rapper, more than a wife, more than a reality star. I built empires while healing scars no one could see. And now, as the truth comes forward, I stand firm in this. I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor, and my story is just beginning. The letter shattered the internet. Celebrities reposted it. Media outlets dissected every word. Even Michelle Obama's official Instagram liked the post. Rasheeda had gone from tabloid drama queen to cultural symbol of endurance. But Kirk wasn't done making it messy. 1 week later, he held a last-ditch press conference outside a courthouse with a shady PR rep by his side. Wearing sunglasses and visibly rattled, he claimed he was being targeted. I made mistakes, but I'm not a criminal, he said. I'm a father, a husband, and I still love my wife. He choked up on cue, but no one bought it. Rasheeda, when asked for comment, simply smiled and told a reporter, that's between him and God now. But behind the scenes, there was still one piece of unfinished business, the divorce. Despite the public unraveling, Rasheeda had yet to file the final paperwork. Some speculated she was stalling. Others believed she was giving Kirk time to do the right thing, to come clean, to protect what little dignity he had left. But the truth? She was waiting for the results of the audit. When they came in, the picture was uglier than anyone imagined. Kirk had diverted over $750,000 into fake LLCs over the last 3 years, money meant for their joint accounts. Money meant for their children. Rasheeda's hands trembled as she reviewed the documents. This wasn't just emotional betrayal. This was theft, and now it was time to finish what he started. The divorce filing hit the internet like an earthquake. Rasheeda's team released a statement confirming that she was seeking not just separation, but full control over all shared assets and a retroactive financial damages claim. Kirk was silent. The man who always had something to say, who thrived on spinning his version of reality, was suddenly nowhere to be found. Some said he fled the city. Others claimed he was holed up in his sister's basement. But one thing was clear, Rasheeda had officially burned the bridge and Kirk was stranded on the wrong side. In a stunning twist, during the final episode of Rasheeda Unfiltered, viewers were treated to a secret meeting that no one knew had been filmed. Rasheeda sitting down with Kirk's daughter Jasmine, the same daughter he had denied for years during their previous scandals. The energy was tense. Jasmine was defensive at first. Why do you want to talk now? She asked. Rasheeda took a breath and replied, because I know what it feels like to love someone who breaks you over and over. And I'm tired of pretending. I wasn't one of you. The two women cried together, hugged, and in that moment, generations of Frost family pain began to dissolve. The episode ended with a quote from Maya Angelou flashing across the screen. "Still like dust, I'll rise." The internet went into full meltdown. The series finale trended for days. Fan theories exploded. Did Rasheeda have a new man? Was she planning a second memoir? Would Kirk face jail time? And just when it seemed like things had finally cooled down, Rasheeda posted a single photo: a red dress, a sunlit balcony, a glass of wine in her hand. The caption: "Closure isn't loud. It's peace." Kirk didn't comment. He didn't repost. He didn't message. Because for the first time in a long time, he knew it was really truly over. With that final image, the internet collectively exhaled. Rasheeda's quiet declaration of peace felt like the end of an era and the beginning of something far more powerful. She had survived it all: years of emotional manipulation, public scandal, the betrayal of a man who once vowed to protect her, and the weight of rebuilding an empire while the world watched her every move. And now she stood unbothered, reborn, and unshakably in control. But while Rasheeda was basking in the calm after the storm, the echoes of her toxic marriage were still rippling through the lives of those who had been caught in its path. Kirk, now a pry in the very industry he once helped shape, had gone underground. His social media accounts were wiped clean: no posts, no stories, no interaction. Sources claimed he had relocated temporarily to Texas, staying with a cousin, in a modest suburban home far removed from the Atlanta limelight. His name had become synonymous with scandal. Podcast hosts dragged him weekly. Fan accounts that once celebrated his early music ventures now mocked his downfall with memes and mashups of his lowest moments. Even club promoters who once paid him thousands to appear were now reportedly refusing to even take his calls. He had gone from mogul to meme. And just when people thought it couldn't get any worse, it did. A former business partner came forward with shocking allegations that Kirk had forged his signature on loan documents related to a failed restaurant venture. The partner, an older man known in Atlanta's hospitality circles, filed a civil lawsuit seeking damages. The man's legal team included some of the most ruthless litigators in the South, and suddenly Kirk wasn't just fighting for his name, he was fighting to stay out of prison. Local news stations picked up the story. Blogs called it Kirk's final fall, and Rasheeda? She still said nothing. Because she didn't have to. She was too busy winning. The premiere of her rebranded fashion line, R by Rasheeda, was a blockbuster success. Celebrities lined up to wear her designs. The online store sold out within hours. Billboard in Times Square lit up with her face. She launched a self-help podcast titled Wife No More, featuring unfiltered stories from women who had left toxic marriages and found joy on the other side. Each episode began with her now iconic line, "You're not crazy, he just gaslit you too long." Rasheeda's story became a cultural touchpoint. College courses referenced her as a case study in image recovery. Magazines crowned her one of the most influential Black women in media. Even Oprah's network approached her about hosting a new empowerment show for women entrepreneurs. And the best part? She did it all without dragging Kirk through the mud. She let the facts and his own self-destruction speak louder than any insult ever could. But the biggest surprise of all came in the final moments of Rasheeda, unfiltered. The reunion special, a 1-hour sit-down she filmed with her longtime best friend and hairstylist. In a quiet, candlelit studio, she was asked, "If Kirk were watching right now, what would you say to him?" She paused for a long time. The silence was thick. Finally, she spoke. "I don't hate you," she said softly. "I just finally chose me. And I hope one day you'll learn to do the same." But this time, without breaking someone to pieces. That clip shattered the internet. Millions watched it on repeat. It became a viral audio on TikTok. Women lip-synced to it while wiping off wedding rings, holding newborns, or packing boxes in their homes. Rasheeda had become a movement, not a moment. A symbol of strength after sorrow. And yet, she never portrayed herself as perfect. In interviews, she admitted to the times she stayed too long, the lies she believed, the excuses she made. "I thought loyalty meant sacrificing my own peace," she said in one emotional appearance. "But now I know real loyalty starts with yourself." As months passed, Kirk's presence in the media all but vanished. A few desperate attempts to reclaim relevance, cryptic tweets, A rumored tell-all book, even an offer to join another reality series all fizzled out. No one was interested. He had become the cautionary tale in a new generation's handbook on self-worth. Meanwhile, Rasheeda was thriving in silence. She purchased a new home outside of Atlanta, secluded, peaceful, surrounded by trees and guarded by privacy gates. A far cry from the chaos she had once called normal. She began dating again, though quietly. No flashy photos, no messy reveals. Just soft launches and smiles. Her children were thriving, her businesses were expanding, and her nights were finally calm. No more checking phones in the dark, no more crying in silence. No more waiting to be chosen. She'd already chosen herself. And as the dust truly began to settle, fans reflected on the journey. What began as a tabloid scandal had grown into one of the most riveting and empowering stories reality television had ever unintentionally birthed. Rasheeda had flipped the script, turned her pain into profit, and emerged as something far more powerful than anyone expected, a blueprint. A blueprint for women who'd been told to sit down, stay quiet, and forgive just one more time. A blueprint for surviving narcissists, manipulators, and emotional vampires. A blueprint for starting over after being shattered. She had become living proof that you could rebuild not in spite of heartbreak, but because of it. So as she stood on the balcony in that red dress, glass of wine in hand, fans didn't just see a woman who had survived. They saw a woman who had won. And somewhere in Texas, or maybe just a few miles away, Kirk Frost probably saw it too. But by then, all he could do was watch. Because the truth about Rasheeda and Kirk Frost's toxic marriage wasn't just that. It was built on lies. It's that Rasheeda finally had the courage to walk away from the fire and rise from its ashes. And there you have it, the truth behind Rasheeda and Kirk Frost's toxic marriage laid bare. What began as a reality TV fairy tale slowly unraveled into a decades-long saga of betrayal, manipulation, and public heartbreak. From secret apartments and mysterious women to federal investigations and emotional warfare, their story wasn't just messy, it was legendary. But what made it unforgettable wasn't the scandal, it was the strength. Because Rasheeda didn't just survive the drama, she owned it. She turned whispers into a war cry, she flipped pain into power. And, in the end, while Kirk faded into the shadows of shame, Rasheeda stood tall in heels, in truth, and in peace. Now I want to hear from you. Was Kirk always the villain, or was he a product of fame gone wrong? Did Rasheeda stay too long, or did she leave exactly when she was supposed to? Drop your thoughts in the comments, we'll be reading every single one, and if this story had you hooked from beginning to end, go ahead and smash that like button because that red dress moment? Iconic. Don't forget to subscribe for more exclusive deep dives into the wildest and most jaw-dropping celebrity scandals. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter in reality's realest drama. Whether it's heartbreak, healing, or a hot mess, we're bringing you the tea extra scalding. And one last thing, share this video with your girls, your group chats, and anyone who's ever stayed too long in a toxic love story. Because sometimes all it takes is one Rasheeda moment to remind you, you don't need closure when you've got peace. Until next time, stay bold, stay beautiful, and stay unbothered.